correct me if I'm wrong. I want to go over a little bit of the history of GrowthCon. GrowthCon 1 had about 3,000 people, or was it less than that?
2,300.
2,300. GrowthCon 2, which is the one that I spoke at, was freaking nuts. It was a stadium. It had over 9,000.
That was just under 9,000. It was like 8920.
Yeah, we're going to say 9,000 because I've been saying 9,000. So I'm going 9,000. All right.
Yeah, and you told me to tell the truth, so I'm trying to tell the truth.
That's true. I did tell you that. You know what? You're the first person to call me out on that, so good for you. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. Keeping it real. GrowthCon 3. 35,000 is the number that's been getting floated around. What's the real number?
34,422.
Whew.
That's how many tickets were sold.
Man, that is just nuts. That's ridiculous growth. Why so fast? I don't like when Grant comes in and says, "Hey, we did 9,000 or 8,900 people. Now we're going to do 35,000." What do you guys even think? Like, why do you need to grow even that fast?
Well, I think that's actually one of the things that is most exciting about working with Grant. And for anybody out there who's a leader of a company, this is one of the most powerful traits that you can have because of what it communicates to your team. Like when we're with Grant, it's always about expansion. Like we believe in our mission. Like this is all predicated by the fact that you have a great product, you treat customers the right way, you don't screw people over, you're not a scam. Like you've got to have like a solid foundation. But once you get that in, like you have to grow. Like if you believe in all of those things, you're a hypocrite if you don't expand. And for us, fortunately, we've got a captain who wants to grow and expand. Grant believes that our content and our material changes people's lives. We've got thousands of case studies that support that, but we want it all around the world. We want people to know how to feed themselves. I mean, when you can impact somebody's ability to produce income, take care of their family, their household, and change the condition and the way that they live their life, you should be pushing that out. It's almost like a spiritual obligation or like some higher level obligation that we have because of what we do. And I mean, it's not like we're, selling a phone or a razor. Like we're literally changing people's lives here. And it sounds kind of cliche, but it's the truth. So we keep setting goals that are higher and higher for our company. Like when somebody goes through one of your programs and you turn around and next thing you know, they've got a 7-figure business. You're like, it gives you a sense of accomplishment and purpose and fulfillment in the work that you're doing. And a lot of people don't have any of those, let alone one or two of them. And so when you have purpose and you have fulfillment and you're taking care of people and you're helping people and you're making an impact, it just becomes this self-fulfilling thing where you just want to continue to grow and get out to more people. So that is what drives us here. Conversations here always start with, man, we got to help more people. We got to get to more places. Grant bought this jet here to go around the world. He didn't buy it because he likes to go on vacations and hang out. He built it because it's going to give us access, or he bought it because it's going to give us access to people around the world. So.
So let's talk about that moment when Grant came to you and the team and said, the next GrowthCon is going to be 35,000, people minimum. How do you start that plan? So we're going to, throughout this episode, we're going to dissect how you did it and the marketing plan behind it. But where do you even start when that's said?
So we were shopping for venues and we wanted to come back to Miami from Vegas last year. And it's a little bit more challenging because in Vegas, you have venues that they have hotels attached to them. So everybody kind of can stay in the hotel and it's the logistics are a little bit easier. Miami, much more beautiful than Las Vegas, but not quite as easy to pull the logistics of it off. So when you start getting into, we go 9,000 people and we say, hey, we want to do a bigger one. The amount of places just in the country, not let alone just like Miami, the amount of places in the country that can accommodate that size of an event, you go from a lot to a little. Like once you get over 10,000, it gets really challenging. And so we were actually, we had toured American Airlines Arena, we had toured the Miami Beach Convention Center, and then we toured Marlins Park. And we were thinking at the time we were going to double and do, 16,000, 17,000, 18,000, somewhere in that range. And we're touring the Marlins Park and we're walking around on the field looking at this big stadium. And Grant goes, how many people does the stadium hold? And obviously the Marlins aren't a great baseball team. So they get 4,000 or 5,000 people in a game. But the guy from the team goes, Joel Osteen had 35,000 people in here. And so Grant goes, guys, we need to do 35,000. So it was at that moment right there. And so when he said that, my heart sunk because that's a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people, a lot of problems, a lot of push, and tick tock, the time's running out, right? Every day that goes by matters. And so when we're walking out, I'm already feeling like, man, how are we going to do this? And then he goes, it's your responsibility to sell all these tickets, right? As we're leaving the ballpark. So I didn't sleep for probably a week. I started grinding my teeth and, just trying to figure all this out. And, the first thing is, we had a lot of the event logistics. So speakers and all that stuff, but take all that stuff aside and just say, how are we going to start selling the ticket? So, obviously the first round was, we sold tickets at the last event. So we had some ticket sales from the people that went to the last GrowthCon. And then we hadn't really released pricing for the entire stadium. So for people that went to the GrowthCon in Vegas, I think the cheapest seat there was $300, maybe $400. And that was for a very limited run. We were trying to keep the ticket price a little higher. And so when we started mapping the seat out and doing, okay, well, how many seats do we have here and in this section and there and on the field and in VIP, you try to start forecasting revenue projections from ticket sales. And so we worked it all out and we got down. We're like, man, these seats up here, we're going to be able to sell these seats for less than $100. For $95, we're going to be able to sell these seats. And so when we went live with the 95, that was the first real big surge that we had because we had enough collateral and promo moving around from the last event. And so people knew the production quality. They knew the quality of the speakers. They knew that we were going to do a bigger event. When we came out with $95 in Miami, it was like rocket fuel, immediately, sales spiked. And so we got through a few thousand, and I'm going to kind of paraphrase here because I don't know the exact numbers as we were moving through the months, but we sold a good amount of the GA tickets. So in the entire GA section, there's about 10,000 seats, I think just under 10,000 seats. And that's a very upper deck. And those were all the first seats that we're selling. And so we had kind of mapped out a plan to sell, have most events do, early bird pricing, get your tickets here, deadlines coming for stage 1 early bird, stage 2 early bird, just working out kind of a schedule to promote against. The problem with that is you're locked into a schedule. And when the schedule doesn't work or the plan doesn't work, then it really forces you to be even more creative how you come back around and remarket at that price if you've already closed it out. So if you've been on the receiving end, a lot of the marketing, you'll see that. I mean, we're figuring all of this out as we go. We're trying to respond to the market as these things are happening. And if you put events together, number one, that event tickets are crazy hard to sell. And when you have 10 or 11 months until the event, you have that many people, you literally have to sell tickets every day. You have to be promoting every single day. And it was a full-on takeover, and that was our first big rush. And then I was like, we need to get planned out, more strategic about this. So I put together a schedule, but then it wasn't working. Grant came in and said, hey, it's not going to go fast enough. We need to change the model. So then we basically lock out sections of seats, and then we focus in one area. Like we focus in like basically eating the stadium apart section at a time. And then you've got to get creative with how you're marketing and promoting it and what you're calling it. You know, fortunately for us, we have a lot of products that we can tie into. We've got corporate business, we've got real estate program, we've got Cardone University we can sell, and we can combine it with coaching. And so there's a lot of different repackaging that goes on to continue to market a fresh offer, right? And to continue to present the same thing 50 different ways. So a very long answer to your question, but you know, we get to 35,000 and then we just got to start looking at like, how do we start breaking these chunks apart? And as we got kind of closer in, you know, there was a lot of doubt. Like, are we going to make it? Like, I mean, we were at probably like 12,000. I remember when we crossed 10,000 seats. We've got like 3 numbers that we're measuring. We've got like all, and you can see them all over the office. Number 1 over here is countdown till GrowthCon. Number 2, and Anik, you've been in our office, so you know all the boards that we have around, the digital boards. Number 2 is ticket sales. So how many seats have we sold? And then number 3 is seats remaining. So we have a countdown, a count up, and then a countdown to the event. So, I mean, we're making these changes and we're making these modifications based on these numbers and how they're moving. And, you know, we got to sell 230 tickets a day. And then, you know, you go through 2 or 3 weeks where ticket sales are off and you're like, man, we got to sell 247 tickets a day. And then, you know, you get up, we got to sell 300 tickets a day. And then you have a promo that really works. And then things start, you know, the pace starts accelerating. So the way that you sell tickets to an event this big and sell it out is do whatever it freaking takes. That's how you do it. Because if you get too locked into one thing and you say that this is the way it's got to be, you're going to find out real quickly that it doesn't. The market's going to correct you. And so you just have to be really nimble.
That's awesome. Well, listen, you skipped right ahead and you went into other rounds, so that's awesome. I'm going to come back. I got a bunch of other questions I do want to ask about this because that was really, really cool. You answered my next round's question, which was how long before the event did you start selling the tickets? And you said 10 to 11 months. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, we were basically selling the tickets at the last event. You know, when like the last day of the last event, we made an offer. We didn't get a ton of sales. So like another thing you have to think with is like we made an offer where people could get an executive level seat for $1,000 and get access to Cardone University for a year. I'm sorry, it was $2,000 for an executive seat and Cardone U for a year. And so like we had the ability to make that offer. If you're just selling a ticket, then maybe your deal has to change. But we're coming out of that event and we're moving into, okay, now we have to start selling tickets. So we went probably 3 or 4 weeks where we were kind of in a lull, and then it was like, we're back into it. So, you know, 11 months of promo.
Thanks for listening to The Fighting Entrepreneur with your host, Anik Singal.